are going to talk about restaurants and the restaurant industry. I am really excited today to bring this topic to you. My name is Alicia. I am a partner at Fourlane, and I am joined today by Kat. She is also a partner here at Fourlane as well. And Catherine, she is been on our panel list before and joining us as a senior consultant here at Fourlane. And then Kaylin, who's also a partner as well. So we are all going to start talking about the restaurant industry and how we can use QuickBooks Enterprise to set up our workflow. So thanks, ladies, for joining me. I do want to make sure that I remind everyone of our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, you can find us at youtube.com/Fourlane. We have a ton of videos. We've got over 200 videos that you'll be able to use as a resource library, be able to identify things such as, like how to set up landed costs. We did a webinar on that not too long ago, but we just add all the time. So as you sign up, you'll be able to get notifications anytime we add to it. So it's really exciting to be able to bring this to y'all. We also have our Facebook group that is Fourlane QuickBooks Enterprise. All of us have been on that Facebook group that are on this panel today. And so we have all kinds of questions that get asked to us. You can also meet some peers there as well. So definitely feel free to join that group. All right, what's new in 2023? So I'm really excited. This registration link is now available. It is, believe it or not, almost time for this to come out. And so we always encourage our clients to make sure that they're on the latest and greatest, and then also taking advantage of those new features in the system. So join us on September 7th and September 14th. Again, that registration link is now available. You can find that on our Facebook group, as I previously mentioned. Also, just as a reminder, we can do a what's new for your staff directly if you want individual trainings on that as well. So pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna jump right into the restaurant industry. We wanna make sure that we're able to, answer some of these questions, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull up QuickBooks. I'm gonna dive right in. So I wanna kind of jump in and start talking about what are some of the coolest restaurants or some concepts that we've talked to clients about. Catherine, do you want to go ahead and start off kind of telling us and sharing some of those cool restaurants that you've worked with?
Sure. I've worked with a lot of restaurants in my career. There was a really neat restaurant group out of Los Angeles that Kaylin and I worked with late last year, and some of their restaurants were even part of movie sets and film locations, which was really neat. I've worked a lot in the coffee industry as well as fine dining, seafood and steak restaurants, as well as some pretty well-known restaurants here in the local Austin area. So I've seen a lot of different restaurants in my career, and I'm happy to be able to eat at a lot of those restaurants and enjoy their food.
It's always cool to be part of, the back end of things and then go to it or like see their products and like buy them and enjoy them. And you're like, I've helped them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, really exciting. Kaylin, do you want to share some of yours that you've worked with?
Sure. Well, working on that very interesting client with Catherine was pretty cool just because everything was themed. But one of my favorite restaurants was this little Thai restaurant run by a local family. And, I would walk in there and they were just so happy to see their accountant. It was so warm and inviting and it smelled great. So I'd have to say that that was one of my favorite ones.
That's awesome. Yeah, like local or even ones that aren't local, I think, and I think for us, and obviously I don't want to speak for y'all, but, being part of their team, it just really is rewarding. And I think it's part of our core values, and being able to just kind of help, right? Make a difference in their lives. And it doesn't really matter how large or small they are. It's always something that, we can make it work inside of QuickBooks, and we want to be part of their success. Well, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So, Kat, I want to turn to you, because, there's a few misconceptions, that I think people are like, I can't use QuickBooks to manage my restaurant, right? I would love for you to kind of share with us, about the point of sale systems and how things can really work and flow into QuickBooks. Could you kind of talk about that for us?
Sure. So I have heard that quite a bit from clients, and my response to them is really, you want to find a a customer-facing, manager-facing software that is going to help you manage your restaurant. But what we're trying to do in QuickBooks is to manage the financials. And the way that we do that is by having apps that connect your point of sale system to QuickBooks, or under integrated applications, exactly. So some, sales systems will connect to QuickBooks, but sometimes they don't connect to QuickBooks in the way that you would want them to, which is where we can look at, instead of doing a direct integration, look at the reports that are available from those external point of sale systems and how to map those into QuickBooks so we can, record a daily sales summary as an example in QuickBooks. Or maybe we just need to see our sales on a monthly basis. We can create a sales receipt. We can use items on there to determine what income accounts those need to go to. I've even done where we've had, like, let's say we pulled in, $5,000 one night, and that was for, I don't know, 100 covers, right? 100 people came into the restaurant. It equaled $5,000 in sales for that night. Then we can use quantities to say how many people came in and how much the total sales were. So if we want to start to see what our average sales price is, right, per person, we can still get those metrics inside of QuickBooks without having every single, sale sync across, which is what sometimes these point of sale, when they're building those connections, they want to try to do. Even as a person who loves trying out new restaurants in the area, I know people are like, oh man, we really love what Toast can do, right? I've also had restaurants that are using components on the Shopify platform, and they really like the reporting that they can get out of those. It's specifically tailored to restaurants. They like the reporting that their managers can see. They like the customer side, right? When you have customers coming in, like that experience, right? You want that to be a good experience, not a cumbersome one. So we always try to say, like, we want to help, translate that information over to QuickBooks, but finding an app that really works for, the restaurant side is super important. And then we can always help figure out the rest. If it doesn't connect direct, there's lots of other ways to get that information into QuickBooks.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was just trying to show here that as you were talking, I quickly was able to manage a template, and I added that quantity. So based off of it, your kind of workflow that gets set up and what you want to see and manage, just like you were saying, like we could easily do this. So it didn't take long at all. So nothing that you said, right? We would ever want to be worried that it's too complex, even though it sounds complex, like it is. It took me 5 seconds, right? And so we can always make those things work. I think that is really important. And that point of sale, as you said, like, they have the decision, right? The clients are allowed to make that decision. It's not like this is the only choice you have. So thank you so much for sharing that. You know, with kind of talking about clients making their own decisions, I want to talk about some common pain points that we've experienced with the restaurant industry and clients that have come to us. Kaylin, would you like to kind of answer this one?
Well, there's two big pain points that I hear regularly. The first one that we touched on a little bit is that point of sale. How do I get those transactions from the point of sale into QuickBooks? I think Kat did a really good job covering that. The other pain point that I hear pretty often is about payroll itself and the collecting of tips or cash tips. It's right in that payroll center. And so there are ways that we can capture those cash tips or credit card tips, for example. So just having that QuickBooks expert, having that person walk through what is this workflow going to be and how is this going to work for me and my business. But there is, I do hear that a lot, that pain point. What do I do about cash tips? What do I do about tips and how do I pay my people?
Yeah, I definitely have heard that as well. And I think that, unless people really kind of come to us and say, and give us that opportunity to be able to provide that solution, right? Some of these things, clients wouldn't know. And so it's always exciting to be able to say, yes, we have a solution for that. So it's a really good one. Catherine, do you have any other ones that you've had, a lot of people kind of bring to your attention?
Sure. I think in addition to the point of sale and the payroll, another big issue for restaurant industry in particular is managing food cost and understanding like the relationship between the profitability of their operation. And that's a really hard thing to recognize. And our point of sale systems are not always fully transparent in managing cost. It's really good at managing sales and hours and can even help with tips and things like that. But I think that you need a good line of sight on your financials to be able to recognize your food cost as it's coming in. And having a good system of checks and balances between what your point of sale system says, reconciling that out to the cash and credit card deposits that are hitting the bank account, and then comparing that on your profit and loss to your food cost and your staff cost and your supplies and all your consumables. I think that's a really valuable thing to be able to look at from the financial perspective, because it's really hard to know if you need to increase prices because food cost is going up or labor costs are increasing. Insurance is a really big expense. All of those things are much easier to see on the financial side. So QuickBooks can be a really great, valuable tool there for really being able to manage your business.
That's really good points on that, Catherine, right? And based off of how we design it, right, how the client, what really they're looking for, we can truly give them those reports so that they have everything that they need. They're not having to dig for it, right? So if we design your workflow and keep in mind those reports of what you're looking for, this is so beneficial, right? And it's super easy. As you saw, I was able to quickly pull up the P&L and the balance sheet, and those numbers are there. So if we design that workflow, then this could be exactly what they're seeing as well. It's awesome. Kat, I want to pick your brain a little bit, change gears here. I want to talk about franchises. So let me ask you if you can explain a solution you've worked on for a franchisor or a franchisee and kind of how we were able to help them.
So I think probably one of the coolest clients that I've worked with is a national breakfast and diner chain, and they had several different locations. So they were the franchisee, right? But we wanted to make sure that they could report across all of those locations in a similar way. So we were able to, we actually did a conversion project for them and moved them into QuickBooks Enterprise. And we established a chart of accounts that was consistent across all of their locations so that we could use the consolidated reporting feature inside of QuickBooks Enterprise to run profit and loss, right? Consolidated profit and loss, consolidated balance sheet for each of their, locations. From the franchisor perspective, we've also helped franchisors get to, right, what I want my franchisees to use as their chart of accounts, because sometimes they're very specific in dictating how they want their QuickBooks files structured, their class list structured, etc. So we've worked with franchisors to help map out what that kind of master plan is for their franchisees to use. We've also done some work with QVinci, which is an external reporting application that can help from a franchisor managing those franchisees and them all rolling up their reporting to the franchisor. So lots of opportunities there for just making sure that that structure is the best that we can get it to give us that information in an easily readable way, right? If we have a bunch of franchisees that are all calling sales something different, right? We can work with the reporting app to map all those to the same kind of account in our structure. Or again, if we're in a franchisee situation where we have multiple locations, we want all those locations to just call it the same thing, right? Food sales,
Right.
beverage sales, beer and wine, whatever it is. So it just makes it a lot easier to compare, apples to apples.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a lot of clients that, I don't know if it even matters the industry that they are in, but they'll come and they'll say, I was told to use a class, right? And I could get all the information on my financials at the class level. So in the situation of like franchisees, right, or franchises just in general, depending on who you're working with, would you ever recommend that set up in that structure?
For using classes?
Mm-hmm.
So a general rule of thumb in QuickBooks is that it's one EIN, right? So one tax ID per QuickBooks company file. So if we're going to use classes, which I have potentially had some clients use classes, particularly when it's in the restaurant area, it might be one restaurant or one EIN that has different aspects. We had one recently that had, a hotel aspect, a cafe aspect, a coffee shop aspect, right? So they had these different pieces that were all, in one set of books because it was one tax ID, and we definitely talked to them about utilizing classes so that they would be able to see how those different business segments are doing compared to one another. I've also seen it roll up before where if you are a franchisee and they are like, for whatever reason, all under one tax ID, there may be a couple that you want to break up by region, right, or area so that you can see the reporting that way as well. So we would have potentially like a header class and then have subclasses underneath those headers for, if we were to have like a West Coast and we had, LA, San Diego, San Francisco as 3 locations on the West Coast, then maybe West Coast would be our header class, and then those 3 locations would be subclasses.
Right. Yeah, I really love that example that you gave about, the fact that you can have multiple kind of areas. So QuickBooks is not limited, right? If there's a reason, right? If there's an explanation or a need for things like classes, we're not going to rule that out, right? We're going to do what's best for the client and make use of all of the features in the system. So when you had, within the same company or the organization where they have the hotel and the gift shop and all those things, like if we want to be able to track those, we could set up those classes as you were saying, and then super easy, right? We can come in and run that P&L by class, and we can really see how everything is working together and individually, like that gift store, right? If it is being profitable. And so really it's unlimited availability of like who can use this. There's no limitations. And I think that was a great example that you shared with us. So thank you for that. All right. So this is one where I really want to make sure that everybody walks away with some tips. And so, Catherine, I'd like to ask you first if you could share one tip about
Absolutely.
QuickBooks, what would that be?
I would say that if you are entering in a daily, weekly, or monthly sales summary from your point of sale system, that a great tip would be to memorize that transaction so that it's easy for you to pull up. And then every time you enter it, you just have to translate the numbers from your Z-tape or your point of sale reports into your memorized daily sales summary.
Great tip. How many people have like jumped for joy when you shared that with them?
Oh, quite a few. That is a really big time saver. And it also helps to keep the books consistent because you know that there will always be, these 8 or 9 points that you need to enter in every time you do your sales summary. And it's good checks and balances to be able to keep that process consistent.
That's a great tip. Yeah. Kaylin, do you have any additional tips or anything else that you would want to share with clients?
I mean, that is a really good tip. One of the big tips that I give is to take some time and look at the structure of your QuickBooks account. What I mean by that is if you want to know your margins on drinks, for example, have a drinks income account and then a drinks cost of goods sold account, right? Look at the structure of those chart of accounts or those classes that we've talked about before, because there really is a lot of information that we can gather from having that set up in an easy way where we can read that data.
It's exciting. It's important too, right, Kaylin? Being able to read
Absolutely.
and
Well,
know
and
what
it
it
makes a
means,
big
right?
difference for your business if you could read those informations and read those financials and then, make decisions based on that. It makes a big difference.
When you've used that for some of your clients, right, how much of a change in their daily lives did they ever share with you, like how much that really changed the way they look at things in their business?
Absolutely. Well, and so many people, come to me, oh my gosh, that's what this means. Oh, I know
Right.
the numbers now. So that's a lot of
Yeah.
what we get.
Yeah. That's why what you're talking about, like, that's why I continue to keep doing this, right? I mean, it like helping people and seeing that change and, the positive outcome that and the knowledge, right? And the information that they have at their fingertips. It's really exciting to be part of. Kat, what about you? Do you have any like tips and things like that you would share?
Sure. So I already kind of hit on one, which is you don't always have to connect your apps, right? Sometimes it's better if you don't. But the other thing that I've had clients come to me multiple times and ask is like, I want to be able to track inventory. which point of sale systems don't do great, right? Especially when you get into mixing things together to make one drink, right? We're all like, let's say we're based in Texas. Everybody likes their margaritas, right? We're not gonna, stock tequila and stock these other things and build assemblies, right? Which is what you would do in like more of a wholesale or retail or manufacturing environment. But we can still utilize inventory parts. We just have to figure out how we're going to, are we going to do a weekly count of how many bottles of tequila we have left so we can record that consumption through QuickBooks, right? We don't just want to be bringing inventory in and never sell it. So we just have to figure out how we're going to record that usage, because it's not going to be coming over, right? From our point of sale system as we're using it, or even if we're manually entering a daily sales summary, probably not as we use it. So that's something important too.
So and thank you so much for saying that, because I think that's another like thing that I've had a lot of clients say is like, I'm in the restaurant industry, like I don't have any inventory. So they kind of look at me a little strange when I ask them that, right? But as you've set up inventory parts, just for the ones that, it's like, okay, what truly do I say is inventory when what's not? Like, what about, am I going to track napkins? I mean, I know you gave some examples, but like, how do you
Yeah.
help people when they ask you those things?
So I think one of the things that you can always ask is like, what do you feel like is disappearing, right? Because if we can get better control over that inventory, even if somebody knows that it's being watched and tracked, it's going to disappear. So liquor, beer, wine, those are all things that are, do have that tendency to walk out, unfortunately, sometimes. Also, some of the things I've helped people track is high dollar protein items, so that's something else to, number one, those cost a lot. So we can also help rein in our costs with tracking those in a more detailed way through QuickBooks. But there are also some of those things that can be have a high theft rate too. So, and it doesn't have to always be tracked forever, right? It could be that we're tracking it for a certain period of time and we're going to be like, okay, everything's looking good. We can get to what our COGS should be if we have this much in sales, so we can then pivot and not continuously track it forever. So that's something else to keep in mind.
That is, like, I really appreciate you giving us some examples, because I think that's really going to help people understand, like the why I would want to do it versus like, yep, I don't need that because it doesn't fit for me. So thank y'all so much for joining us today. Thank you to the panelists that joined me.